The Detroit Pistons obviously are going to have a top pick in this upcoming NBA draft. Where it lands, we don't know yet. But throughout this offseason, we are going to have episodes dedicated to draft prospects at the top of the draft. Today's episode is your very first one. We're going to be talking about Paolo Banchero. Stay tuned on today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. Per usual, I'm your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. And if you have not already, or if you're one of the 50% of people who are watching this on YouTube and haven't hit that subscribe button yet, make sure you guys go do that. If you listen on the podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever, you want to support the podcast, the best way to do it, head to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. On our way to 3,000 subscribers, continuing to show Locked On that we're the best and fastest growing fan base at the Locked On Network. So again, best way to support the podcast, hit that subscribe button over at the Locked On Pistons YouTube channel. But you guys know it's been coming. We're going to spend the entire offseason breaking down prospects at the top of the NBA draft. I told you guys I was going to get into some scouting, first time ever for me. And I told you we're going to have a lot of these episodes coming as soon as the season ends. And the season ended just a few days ago, and now we got our first episode coming out. And this one's going to be about Paolo Banchero, a complete deep dive into him, strengths, weaknesses, all of his info. Should the Pistons take him? Should they not take him? It's going to be a fun episode. And to join me on this fun episode, my first ever, legit draft profile, me scouting myself, is Hal. Hal, how you doing, man? You were on the podcast a lot last year for draft stuff. I thank you for coming on this year. I'm going to need your help a lot, though.
Absolutely. People I don't think understand how much this is pulling teeth for you. You have never ever enjoyed this bit.
Well, it started becoming a little bit more fun for me. I'm not going to lie. As I started watching them and as I started typing stuff, I found some fun in it. I'm just trying to make sure I'm pretty good at it. That's what I want to get to, and then I'll probably be.
Yeah, that's it. You're scared of the bad take. That's what it is. You're scared of the miss. You're scared of missing on prospects. We all miss on prospects. We all get roasted. I famously was not high on Isaiah Stewart on draft day. I was not happy about that. I was very wrong. I will say
Fair
it.
Enough.
Again, we all have misses. You just got to own it. That's all it is.
All right. So I just want to make sure you guys heard that. It's very likely that I will miss on some of these guys, the things I say, but it is what it is. All right, let's get into it. Today's episode is going to be centered around the Duke forward/wing/big guy, Paolo Banchero. He averaged 17.2 points this past season, 7.8 rebounds, 3.2 assists. He shot 47.8% from the field, 33% from deep, around 73% from the free throw line. He had 1.1 steals a game, 0.9 blocks a game. He had a 55.7 true shooting percentage on 27.5% usage rate. He is 6'10", 250 pounds with a wingspan of 7'1", and he is at the age of 19 when the draft comes around. Before we get into his strengths and weaknesses and all that stuff, I do want to throw it over to Hal so he can break down something that should be considered when you talk about these draft prospects. Go ahead, Hal.
It's important to remember that COVID happened, and that impacted everybody a little differently. Paulo's one of the guys that impacted the hardest because the kind of Pacific Northwest, that the Seattle region, shut everything down for almost 2 years. And so Paolo, PD Webb at Above the Break 3 on Twitter, I think he collected the games. I think he said it was something like 13 actual real competition games over 2 years. So compared to your normal AAU cycle, he came into this season at Duke, both a different player than what we expected a little bit, but also just rusty. And I think we saw it a bit this year. And I think it's just kind of an important context, as we saw his playmaking grow and, kind of his confidence shift throughout the year. A lot of that is just watching a guy. And so there's questions about how much, progress from the college season did he not get because he was busy knocking rust off. So just important perspective to keep in mind.
All right. Definitely want to get that out there because it is important, something to keep in the back of your mind, like you said. So, but let's go ahead and start this off. So we're going to talk about his strengths to start this podcast off and how I want to do a little bit of a fun thing here. If you had to describe Paolo in one sentence, what would it be? My one sentence that I came up with after doing a little bit of my scouting was an offensive-minded, NBA-ready size prospect with star potential.
What if Pistons Blake Griffin was just an average athlete?
Okay, all right, fair enough. That's interesting. That actually is a really interesting one sentence. You my eyebrows raised with that one. I'm sure all you guys did as well. Um, let's get into his strengths now, though. All right, so we're gonna go back and forth here. I'm gonna bounce things off of Hal will bounce some of it off of me. So we're gonna go back and forth here. So one of the strengths I saw from him is that I feel like he really does play to his size. A lot of guys that are bigger, stronger. For example, a guy that's on the Pistons and someone I'm really high on, you guys know, is Killian Hayes. Killian Hayes is 6'5", like 220, but a lot of times he doesn't play to that 6'5", 220 on the offensive end going to the basket. Me watching Paulo, I feel like he absolutely played to every bit of his 6'10", 250 pounds. I really saw him play like small. However, while he's able to play to his strength and his wingspan and his height and his weight, all that stuff, I did notice that he was also capable of doing the finesse finishes as well. He was able to do a lot of the strong finishes around the rim, fight through guys, finish over guys, finish through guys. He was also able to, have those kind of finesse moves, those kind of guard-like finishes, guard-like moves. Is that something you also saw, Hal, when you watched him?
Yeah, that's kind of the selling point, right? Is he is for the size he is just a really high level ball handler. Um, really good out of the triple threat. Loves that kind of stutter rip, where you jab one way, fake the other way, and then go back the way you jabbed. Loves that. Gets into pull ups, gets to the rim. He'll drive into post ups. He can navigate pick and rolls. Um, he is, I think, at the top of the draft, the best prospect basically out of anybody. Some people will say Jaden Ivey. I think Paolo is probably the best player at creating his own offense and then using that to create for others.
All right, fair enough. Another thing that I saw from him when I went through and was watching some of his tape, I feel like he was a really talented finisher around the rim as well. Very creative finisher, I feel like, around the rim. And one thing, we'll talk about this when we get to some of his weaknesses later on in the episode. But let's say if he were to struggle creating for himself or creating, in the NBA and getting, creating for himself efficiently, I feel like he's the type of guy that could really just simply feast off of putbacks, lobs, and dump offs on offense. Like he could score, like kind of how we've talked about Marvin Bagley in the podcast, how he's just able to just feast off of that. Marvin Bagley might be a little bit better of an athlete. I don't know how you feel about that, Hal. But even still, he's tall, he's long, he's strong. He has a lot of explosive finishes, I feel like, off of 2 feet. When it comes to off of 1 foot, I feel like he's not as good of an athlete. He doesn't explode as well. But when he gets off 2 and was able to load up, he has some really strong finishes. And that's some stuff you'll see if you have him like in the dunker spot. You'll be able to just load up off 2 and slam some stuff home. So, like I said, we'll talk about some of his weaknesses later on. And that, I don't want to like hint at it too much, but if he has trouble creating for himself, he's one of those guys I feel like that can really just feast off of like off ball opportunities. Do you agree with that kind of thing too?
Yeah. He is athletically, I think he's good in patterns that he's trained in. So he's not like Marvin Bagley's one of those guys. He's just an obscene athlete, like with really good flexibility that just like he's able to execute moves kind of the first time he tries them. We've all seen athletes like that. Paulo, I think, does need to drill his things a little more. He isn't the super twitchy guy. He isn't the best vertical leaper, but like super powerful guy, right? That 250, that number's real. He's a real big dude. He plays physically. He can definitely explode and finish through contact, finish around the rim, and then when he's doing stuff that he's practiced, when he's doing those like triple threat moves where he's got the jab down, he's got that rhythm down. You'll see that first step. You'll see the kind of the quick twitch stuff. Not so much just reactionary athleticism, but he's not. I don't think he'll be held back by a lack of athleticism. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think he's more athletic to his size than Cade is, for example.
Fair enough. Yeah, I saw the same thing. I thought, like I said, I thought off of 2 feet he was really explosive when he was able to load up off stuff. Now, in like tighter areas, he may not be able to get that kind of load off, but when he's able to get that load, I thought he was extremely explosive and very ferocious when he tried to get to the rim off of 2. I'm gonna try to speed up some of this because this is the first time doing this episode. I see it when I was worried about whether we'd have enough. We'd fill out the episode enough, and we're already at 10 minutes. I'm not even halfway through my profile.
Never a problem.
So this is a learning lesson for me moving forward in future episodes. So I'm gonna speed through some of his strengths real quick. So overall, I think he might be. I haven't scouted some of the other guys yet, but so far what I've seen, he looks like he could probably be like the best, like you said, Hal, self-creator in the draft at the top of the draft. Like he's incredibly good at creating his own shot. He's incredibly comfortable at pulling up in the mid-range. He's incredibly comfortable in taking tough shots. I saw him take a lot of hitting post fadeaways, a lot of tough contested mid-range shots. When he's confident, he's very comfortable taking some of those shots. So I think he has the potential to be be the best self-creator offensive player in the draft, at least from what I've seen. And then I'm gonna kind of use this part to like transition us into his weaknesses. And I'll let Hal talk more in the second half because this is something he wanted to talk about. We talked about it before, and I've talked a lot in this first segment. I did not expect to talk this much, but defensively, he shows the ability to be an incredibly impactful defender, especially off ball. Off ball, he makes some tremendous plays, tremendous reads sometimes, and just makes some crazy, just overall crazy plays. However, as we'll transition to his weaknesses, which will be the next segment, the question is that something that he will be able to do consistently? Because, spoiler alert, he did not do it very consistently in college. And one of his question marks is his defensive consistency and want to on that end and overall effort. So when we come back from the ad break, we'll talk about all that stuff. But first, like I told you guys, we got to keep the lights on. I got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, one of our new sponsors, Shady Rays. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that gives you the features of $200 sunglasses for a fraction of the price. That means polarized lenses, well-constructed durable frames, and premium high-end finishes. Also, something you won't find anywhere else is Shady Rays' Insane Protection Program. Shady Rays includes lost and broken protection on every pair. They will send you a brand new pair if you lose them, no matter what happened. Give them a try. If you don't love them, they'll pay nothing. You'll basically be getting it for free. It's as simple as that. Plus, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America when you shop with Shady Rays. That's always good. Always a good thing to help people around you. Exclusively for our listeners, head to shadyrays.com and use code LOCKEDON to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's code LOCKEDON for the best deal of the season. 50% off 2 or more pairs of Shady Rays sunglasses backed by on over 150,000 verified 5-star reviews. And again, every plus 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America when you shop with Shady Rays. So that's another good thing about it. So make sure you guys are going to Shady Rays, check it out, and make sure you're using code Locked On. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. And if you haven't already, you guys know what I'm about to say to you guys. Head over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, on over 3,000 subscribers, you guys get that, all that jazz, whatever. Let's go ahead and get back into this because this is not. I did not think it would take this. I didn't know I would feel so confidently talking about this stuff. I would be talking so much about it. But Hal, is there anything else real quick just to touch on some of his strengths that maybe I didn't say that you wanted to throw out there real quick before we get into his weaknesses?
No, I think you made the right transition because his defense is kind of the time-honored classic of capacity versus consistency, right? We've seen Paolo slide with guards. We've seen Paolo defend the rim. Paolo's like high school rim protection film is really good. That was the thing he was known for in high school. And then you get to Duke and like we saw the flashes. The flashes were there. I don't have any real concerns about him athletically being able to guard up and down wings, being able to survive in a switching defense. I think he's got the capacity for all of that. We can get to his drop defense and small ball 5 stuff in a second, but like it's just consistency. There were times at Duke where he wasn't locked in, and that's kind of frustrating. One of those games happened to be the Final Four, right? The semifinals of a championship, and Paulo wasn't in a stance for some possessions. That's rough. So, at that point, it becomes a question if you're going to draft him of, meeting with him in the pre-draft and knowing who your coach and your personnel are, and saying, do we have a team to unlock that, that capacity and unlock that consistency, and I think if you're Detroit and you've got Dwayne Casey, and that's kind of what he's known for, is getting that buy-in. Maybe that's a something you're more comfortable with than if you're a team with a famous uh, disciplinarian that's harder on young players, right? So it's something you gotta wrestle with as you evaluate.
So yeah, that's actually something I'm going to be talking about later in the podcast when we get to whether the Pistons should draft him, whether they shouldn't draft him. Exactly what you just said. Uh, Defensively, he shows the ability to make some really impactful plays. He shows the ability to be an impactful defender. And I actually wrote in my notes right here that if he was consistent and he was locked in all the time, I have confidence that he could be a small ball five because he showed ability to slide with guards and switch on the guys. Now, don't know if that's something you'd want to do all the time, but with the Pistons being a switch heavy defense, I don't know if that's something that's going to change moving forward when guys get more experience. Um, but I feel like if he's locked in, he could fit in that kind of system and he could be very well. But however, like you said, he wasn't consistent with it. A lot of times when I saw, it was really just about effort and wanting to play defense. And that's a question that really comes down to that's a big red flag for a lot of teams when you start talking about effort and want to. So it really comes down to for the Pistons. I'm spoiling the last segment again for some reason, but here we go. Uh, if Troy Weaver feels like he has a coach that will be able to coach that out of him, or if Dwayne Casey feels like he'll be able to get him on track and get the most out of him that way, or Hal kind of hinted at the fact that he wasn't able to play, or not hinted, but said that over COVID he only was able to play 13 games or so. It was all AAU. Maybe he had some bad habits that he picked up over those 2 years and just came in rusty. Do the Pistons feel confident that they'll be able to coach out those bad habits and get more consistency defensively? Because really, that's the biggest concern for me from watching him is his effort defensively and his concentration defensively. Because again, he shows every now and then the ability to make some insane plays, both off ball and on ball, but it's just not there all the time. And it's not just simply because he's getting cooked every now and then. It's because a lot of times, like you said, in that Final Four game, he was just standing. He was like, he just didn't. It looked like he didn't even want to play defense. And for me, it was really concerning to see that in such a pivotal game for him to be like that. Like throughout a season, okay, maybe not, but in a pivotal game to see that's what really concerned me about it. So that's definitely my number one weakness for him. If there's anything else about his defense, you can say something. How if not, I was going to take it somewhere else.
I guess just when it comes to like him playing at the five, I think the one kind of athletic thing, he's not the longest guy, right? He is 6'10". He does have a slight plus wingspan. I think 7'1" is the number we're hearing.
Yep.
Um, I don't think he loads into like the squat when he's playing in a drop that great. I don't think he explodes out of that well, and he doesn't have like the plus wingspan. So I'm not sure how much of like a drop five he'll be. So that's one kind of minor concern about him defensively, is that small ball five is probably like a closing lineup type thing, not a you're not going to build your roster around him at the five right now. That's not. I wouldn't think that's the plan.
All right, fair enough. So I want to transition now to some of his other weaknesses. And this is the thing. I just want to say this about Paulo. I really probably should have said this earlier on. Give me some slack. This is my first time trying to do a draft profile. But I should have said this earlier on. From what I've seen from Paulo, I feel like a lot of his weaknesses, and I'll explain further offensively, but I feel like from me personally, if you disagree, Hal, let me know. But I feel like a lot of his weaknesses are things that will disappear if you have a great coach. Like I feel like a lot of these things are things that need to be things that can be coached out of him because the talent is off the charts. The ability is off the charts. However, going from defense to offense, one of the things I thought was a weakness of his offensively that he dribbled himself into a lot of bad positions, took a lot of tough shots that transitioned to bad shots, and probably affected his efficiency as well. And one of his real strengths, and I didn't even mention it in the first segment because again, I was did not expect did not think I'd have so much to talk about. But he's a really damn good passer. However, he kind of makes passes harder on himself because he dribbles himself into tough positions and he's not seeing the defense, a step ahead. He's not using his gravity as a self-creator and as a scorer to make his passing ability as easy on himself. So a lot of times he dribbles himself into turnovers, forces passes that probably were open like 2 seconds earlier, but he dribbled himself into a tough position and was looking to score first, and now he has a turnover. So that's something I saw a lot with him. I feel like that's something, again, if you feel confident in your coaching staff, that's something you can simply coach out of him and help him get better with his decision making offensively, or when to press the issue and when not to press the issue. But yeah, that's really, and obviously his jump shot. Actually, yeah, I forgot to mention his jump shot. His jump shot isn't as consistent. Hal, you're the guy with the form technique. You're the jump shot guru over there. So I'll let you talk about that.
No,
But
just an amateur.
no, I don't know, man. I don't know. But his jump shot's not very consistent. He shot 33.8% in college, damn near 34%, but it was very inconsistent. He seems like he's much more confident and better at pulling up from the mid range than he is from a standstill from beyond the arc right now. So outside shooting is a concern somewhat. But really, my main concerns for his weaknesses is his defensive effort, consistency, and offensively is just simply putting himself in tough positions and that he can't get out of. And that fixing that will help him be more efficient, help him dominate the game more, and really showcase his passing even more as well. So I'll let you take over from there, Hal. I talked a lot again.
Yeah, I think it's all rooted in kind of the same thing I mentioned earlier, right? He's really good when he's doing something he's practiced before, right? And this is the thing where we definitely saw over the course of this Duke season him knocking off the rust, him polishing up a few new moves, and every time he did, his passing would get better because he'd execute the move a little crisper, he'd open the window a little better, he'd be a little more confident in the time he had to make reads. Um, so I think as he matures and as he spends these summers working on new moves, I think we're just going to see Paulo get incrementally better and incrementally better and incrementally better. I think he has passing vision. I think he's got the passing, the will to pass. Right, he's got the right mentality. He is a playmaking forward. And like I said, I think of all the guys at the top of this draft, I don't think there's a true point guard in this draft. Not in that range. And I think Paulo's pretty clearly the number one assist generator in that area. As far as the jump shot goes, he didn't shoot a lot until recently, so this is very much a new jumper for him. Guy who has he's shot mostly off the dribble, right? He learned to shoot threes when he entered that creator phase in his development. So he's doing a lot of it off the dribble, and that's why you see a lot of it be, him comfortable in the mid range, right? That high school 3-point range. Those high school one dribble pull ups become two dribble pull ups at the next level, become three dribble pull ups at the NBA level. That's that range that he's practiced in. That's that range that he's got most of his shots off in. So I think we're still seeing like a very early development. I don't think mechanically there's much wrong. It's just, again, this is something he does not have thousands of reps in the way, especially game reps, the way that you might expect, for a guy, for him, if COVID hadn't been a thing, or for some of the guys that learned to shoot earlier in their development.
All right, fair enough. So we're going to transition to the final segment where we'll talk about, should the Pistons take him? Why shouldn't the Pistons take him? We'll talk about where he's mocked at going right now, what's his ceiling, what's his floor, comparisons, etc. We'll talk about that when we come back. But first, I had to tell you guys about another one of our sponsors. And this partner is a product I use literally every day now, and that's Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 because I wanted to feel better. I wanted to get healthier. I wanted better gut health. I wanted more energy. All those kind of things. I've been using it for a few weeks now, and I absolutely love it. It doesn't taste like it's super healthy. It has kind of a mild tropical taste to it that I actually look forward to each morning. So what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients support your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All of these things. So it's lifestyle friendly as well. Whether you eat keto, vegan, dairy free, or gluten free, it helps you in all of those. Contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. It supports better sleep quality and recovery. Supports mental clarity and alertness. It's the one thing with the best things. Athletic Greens uses the best of the best products based on the latest science with constant production or product iterations and third-party testing. It costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. is cheaper than getting all the different supplements yourself. You're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 five-star reviews. It's recommended by professional athletes and trusted by leading health experts such as Tim Ferriss. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day, and that's it. No need for a million different pills or supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NBA network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Then I have to tell you guys about your guys' favorite sponsor, Built Bar. This is the time of year that I've pretty much given up on all my New Year's resolutions, but not this year. I'm sticking to my resolution to eat right, and it's thanks to Built Bar. It almost feels like it's not even really a resolution because I actually enjoy eating them. Have you tried the Puffs bar? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting protein bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, they're an absolute treat. And they're covered in 100% real chocolate. And guess what? It's not just the Puff bars. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. They're low calorie and high protein. Replace your candy bars with Built Bars. They taste better and they're better for you. A typical candy bar can be anywhere from 200 to 300 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. If you go to Built.com and scroll down to the macros chart, you'll be absolutely blown away. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. And it's healthy while having an insane amount of flavors. Mint brownie, coconut almond, new flavor this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. You guys know my favorite is the peanut butter flavor. They got cherry barcia, strawberry, raspberry, blueberry, cookies, like all kinds of flavors. Make sure you're checking out Built.com all the time to see all these flavors and constantly checking out as well because they're always coming out with limited time flavors. At Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, then figure out how to make it healthy. And I don't know how, but they pull it off every single time. So go to Built.com, use promo code LOCK15, and you'll get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Built Bar, the best tasting protein bar ever. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to our YouTube channel, yada, yada, yada. Hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Hal, I'm not going to lie. Those ads took a lot of air out of me, dude. Real healthy stuff, though. Real healthy. You guys want to be healthy, that's the stuff for you. But
I don't know what an adaptogen is.
I will not.
I would like to learn what an adaptogen is. It sounds like it gives me superpowers. I don't think that's what they're advertising, but that's what it sounds like they're advertising.
Hey, if you get superpowers from it, make sure you guys come back to Locked On Pistons. Let them know. Hey, Locked On Pistons let me know that this was going to happen. So it is what it is. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up this Paolo Banchero episode. So, Hal, I got his mock drafts from a bunch of different places right now. The Ringer has him at number 1. The ESPN mock draft right now, obviously they're going to change throughout, until the draft comes. But ESPN has him at number 3 right now. Tankathon has him at number 3 right now. Where do you think he's somewhere in that area? Do you think that's going to be right? Somewhere in that top 3?
I think that's right. I think there might be a team that falls in love with Ivy, and maybe 4. I think is the absolute lowest. He's number 1 on my board.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. I can't really say what my board is yet because this is my first.
Yeah. This is Koo being scared of his takes right now. Come on. Koo, right, so, he's number 1 on Koo's board because Koo's board has 1 player on it right
now. All right, so the next place I wanted to go with it was what his ceiling and his floor is. So for me, I have it down. Yes, you guys, if you guys are watching on YouTube, you guys can see me looking at my computer this entire time because I have strict notes written out that I'm following for each thing, so I stay in line with this. So his ceiling I have is a multiple-time All-Star that impacts the game on both ends of the floor. Incredibly talented offensive player, someone who can play, make, and also just make plays on ball and off ball defensively. A legitimate multiple-time All-Star, possible All-NBA type player. His floor I have as a talented offensive player who can create for himself, but dribbles himself into a lot of tough positions and defensively gets played off the floor because he's not paying attention and never really focuses on that side of the floor, which will sink his ceiling. Where are you at with that, Hal? Are you around the same area as me, or are you feeling different?
Yeah, I have a little more faith in the defense, like stabilizing a little bit. I think the floor is kind of like the bad version of Julius Randle. where you're like, oh, he's not quite as efficient. The shot never quite materializes for him. He's not a stopper on defense, and you just kind of, he's the kind of guy that you end up overpaying on that second contract, and you kind of regret it. Um, I think that's like the absolute floor. And then I think, ceiling wise, like I said, when you asked me for that one liner at the beginning, you know, his game reminds me a lot of what Blake Griffin did in Detroit, right? That MVP season where he was shooting that just like 37% from three, but getting a lot of it up off volume, doing a lot of, tricks in the pick and roll, inverting the pick and roll, all sorts of offensive trickery. And, if he can be, even like 90% of that, but like not a hole on defense the way Blake was here, like that's, I mean, again, you said it, like that's an all NBA third team guy at least. So,
Mhm.
the actual result probably ends up somewhere in between. Obviously, that's the 0 percentile and the 100 percentile. But I think if you're looking for star potential, he certainly has it.
Fair enough. So I had the next thing I was going to go was his comparison to NBA. I actually really I had Chris Webber and Julius Randle, but I really do like the comparison you made with Blake Griffin's 18-19 season. A lot of his stuff, like you said, was coming off the dribble. A lot of his a lot of his shots were coming off pull ups. He had a few of obviously catch and shoot, pick and pops, but a lot of his stuff was just simply off the dribble, creating for everyone, making some insane passes. And if he could be a better defender than Blake was, which that's not going to be too much to ask for outside of taking charges, you could be a pretty damn good player. So that's the comparison I have written down here is Chris Webber and Julius Randle. You went with Blake Griffin's 2018-19 season. If you had to predict his future role, I have it at a simple above average starter. Where do you have it if you had to absolutely predict his future role?
I'm back.
Oh, did you hear the oh you spaced
Nope,
out for a second. I didn't
didn't
even
hear your
notice.
question. I
Oh, my question.
lost you there for a second.
It wasn't too bad. It was only like 2 seconds.
All
I
right,
basically
good.
I was asking what do you if you had to predict what his future role will be, what do you think it will be? I had it at above average starter, basically is what I'm saying.
I agree. I would think he's the kind of guy that the average outcome for him is being like a 2 or 3 time All-Star. Um, just kind of being the last guy in a couple times would be a pretty good outcome for him.
All right, so let's speed through this part right here real quick. Do you think he would have an immediate impact wherever he gets drafted, or is he going to take a few minutes or few years to figure it out? I think he'll have an immediate impact.
Yeah, no, I think he'll be on a roster in like the top 8 rotation of a team pretty much everywhere he goes.
All right, fair enough. And now this is where you guys have probably been waiting for, and it took 33 minutes to get there. I'm sorry. Hopefully I space out the time a little bit better for the next guy we go into. But all right, why the Detroit Pistons should take him if he's there. I said he will take immediate pressure off of Kay Cunningham offensively, as far as playmaking and self-creation responsibility. And you guys know I do not want Kay to be like in a heliocentric offense, so he would really help in that facet right there. The Pistons have always needed some bigger, athletic, lengthy wings / bigs. I feel like Banchero would really fill those right there instantly. Explosive dude off of two. Like I maybe not explosive is the word I should use. I feel like ferocious is really the word I want to use because he's like it's very like when he explodes. Maybe it's not like 40 inches into the air, but it's hard, man. Like it's powerful when he goes. So I think the Pistons really have needed that from the wing position. I think he would fill that instantly. And this is only the first guy I've done, obviously, but from what I've seen, I really think he could become like the best player from this draft. Now, obviously, that sounds stupid when I just told you guys I haven't looked at anyone else, but uh, I think I think his ceiling is like is literally like an all NBA type of player who is like a top 15ish player at least. Like that's his ceiling. I could see him hitting that if you can simply get the right coach to kind of outcoach some of his, to get some of that bad habits out offensively, defensively. Why do you think the Pistons should take him, Hal?
Well, I think just from a philosophical standpoint, right? To me the biggest asset in the NBA is assist generation, right? Somebody who's able to create their own looks, create their own rim pressure, etc., and make the next pass. And like I said, he's the best in the class for me at that. So, when you're just trying to prioritize talent and best player available, I think that's a big selling point. Then when you're talking about like a pick and roll partner for Cade, right? This is what you're asking for. Um, Maybe you want it to be a surer thing than Paolo, right? Maybe you wish that he was just a little bit better. If you're like really really planning this in a laboratory, but you can't craft something better than a guy who's able to invert the pick and roll with Cade, who's able to pick and pop, who's able to pick and roll, who's able to do short roll passes.
I was just
He's
about to
going to
say the
be
short roll
yeah,
passes part.
he's going to be able to do all that. And just the flexibility offensively of their partnership, of what he can do with Killian, if Killian's still here, of what he can do. If you want him to lead your bench unit, he should be able to do that, right? There's just so much versatility there. Um, and I don't think you're going to look at some of the other prospects and they're going to have risks that are like the kind of risks you have to define your team by. Chet, you're going to need to figure out what the heck Chet is, that kind of thing. Paolo's plug and play wherever you want him. You don't have to ask a lot of questions. You just want to make sure there's some rim protection behind him, and you're going to be pretty happy no matter what. And maybe he's not the best outcome, but I don't think he's going to be the worst outcome in the top 5 either.
All right, fair enough. And then why the Pistons shouldn't take him, and this will end it right here. In my opinion, the only reason why you wouldn't take him if he's there is if you, when I say you, Troy Weaver and Dwayne Casey, feel like his defense and his effort are legitimate question marks to where you don't believe that you'll be able to get that out of him. If you feel like those effort concerns, whether like you hear something like off the court or something, I don't know. When you get these pre-draft interviews and if you do not feel confident that you'll be able to get the most out of him effort-wise defensively, you shouldn't take him. If you don't feel like you're strong, you feel strongly in your coaching staff to coach out some of those bad habits offensively eventually, whether it's with Dwayne Casey or if you know who you're looking at future-wise, whether it's Jerome Allen off the bench. I've said that I think that could possibly happen. But either way, if Troy Weaver does not feel like he can do that with this guy, you shouldn't take him because effort, I feel like, at least for me, is one of those things that you definitely want to kind of stay away from if you question whether you'll actually be able to get that out of him. So if you have legitimate questions about that, you should not take him no matter what. That's literally all I have for that, though. That like if you don't, that's the only question for me, legit. And obviously, I'll look through other guys as the off season goes on. But so far, through just looking at Paolo Banchero, that's literally my only question mark. If you are confident that you'll be able to get that out of him, you take him instantly.
Yeah, it's and he was known as like a gym rat and just like a good character guy. I think really it's if you're not taking Paolo, it's because you like one of the other guys more. And that's not wrong. That's not a bad thing to say you're a Chet person or you're a Jabari person. I don't think you're looking at Paolo and going, "Oh, this is the fatal flaw that's going to just like stop me from ever touching him." I don't think he has one of those. I think it's really going to be more about no, we think Chet is the game changer. We think Jabari Smith is the game changer. I think that's going to be the motivation more than anything else.
All right. Well, guys, wrapped up the first draft profile episode with Locked On Pistons with Kuka Hill as the host. I'm not gonna lie,
Didn't hurt too bad.
Dude, that actually went way better than I thought. I literally had concerns about, am I going to fit it within like 28 minutes? Am I going to be able, get up to that? Am I going to have enough to talk about? Am I going to be confident and stuff? Dude, I probably could. I'm letting you guys know right now. I have a list of all my notes, my profile. I could have talked probably for the next 15 minutes still. We could have went on with this for another 15 minutes. So I actually feel a lot better about that. I'm actually looking forward to talking about the next how we go.
He just decided he was a solo artist again.
No.
No team ups no more.
Nah, we're
clear out. ISO.
Nah, I definitely need my guy Hal with me. I definitely need that because if I was by myself, I may not have felt as comfortable. So I appreciate you, Hal, coming on for real though. Had a lot of fun. We could have talked literally for like another 20 minutes. I'm not even joking, guys. But make sure you guys go check out Hal at Hal Bridius. I know Hal, your video Twitter, your film Twitter. You said you don't know yet what you're going to do with it, but definitely make sure you guys go check it out at Hal's vids. I'm sure he'll probably do some draft prospect stuff over there. I think he'll probably do. But either way, you want to make sure you're following that for the upcoming season anyways when it comes around because he'd be threading the entire game. So make sure you guys go check him out on Twitter on both those accounts. Follow him. Great follow. I want to thank you guys for making Locked
Thank
On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Again, we are free and available on all your podcast platforms. Make sure you guys are making Locked On NBA your second listen of every single day. From the first jump ball of the play-in tournament to the last possession of the finals, Locked On experts take you deep inside the playoffs with insight and analysis affecting all of the teams. If you haven't already, head to our YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button on the road to 3,000 subscribers. I actually had a lot of fun, guys, with this. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I know you guys really have been looking forward to this. I had a lot of fun, to be honest. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I had a lot of fun. So I can't wait for the next one. I'll be sure to let you guys know who the next prospect is that I want to look into. But until then, I'll see you guys later. Peace out, everybody. And, go Pistons, I guess.